Hello and welcome to Tech24 with me, Annelise Borges. Coming up, an African non-profit company that played a key role in helping Haiti after the earthquake. Today we'll talk about USHAHIDE, a tech success story from Kenya. And at last week's Consumer Electronics Show, we saw 3D TV giving way to some exciting new trends due to come our way in 2013. We'll tell you more about them in Test 24. 3 years ago, Haiti was struck by the most violent earthquake in its history. Like most of us, Patrick Meyer, David Kobia, and Brian Herbert learned about the tragedy while watching TV. Only they decided to do something about it.
So Patrick Meyer called me on and asked me to set up an USHAHIDE instance for Haiti. All in all, it took about an hour to throw this on. We became inundated by traffic after that, which we were highly unprepared for. Our servers kept crashing constantly.
So this gave us an opportunity to really learn by doing. How many software developers have a chance to work with the State Department or work with the Coast Guard to tell them, hey, there's somebody stuck under, a collapsed wall somewhere. Here's their phone number. Here's where we think they are. Go find them.
Never in the past have we been able to deal with this information vacuum that typically exists during the first 24, 72 hours, where there's just no information, everybody's scrambling, nobody knows what to send, how much to send, what have you, really what the extent of the impact is. In large part, thanks to USHAHIDE's approach to information collection, i.e. crowdsourcing, we were able to fill that gap.
USHAHIDE is the Swahili word for testimony. The non-profit tech company had been created 2 years earlier to help report the violence that erupted in Kenya following the country's disputed election of 2007. USHAHIDE specializes in developing free and open source software for information collection, visualization, and interactive mapping. After 13,000 maps published, the company was selected by the MIT Technology Review as one of the 25 most innovative companies of 2011, alongside Twitter, Facebook, and Zynga. Mark Edwards is with me here in the studio. Mark, how exactly does USHAHIDE work?
So it's an open source tool which easily crowdsources information using Twitter, Facebook, emails, SMS, MMS. And what is it? As you said, it's open source, so it's free for anybody to use. And what they do is they receive voluntary information, they analyze it, and then they summarize it. And it started out in 2008 in Kenya after a rather contentious post-election period. And what it was really, it was to gather information about violence erupting in parts of Kenya. And so it's a kind of thing that you'll gather that information, you can find out where things are going wrong and either get help over there or avoid those places, and lots of humanitarian and practical uses as well.
And the key word here is really crowdsourcing and the enormous impact that it's having on humanitarian aid and disaster relief, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, crowdsourcing, it's outsourcing a task to an undefined group. And in this case, Haiti, for instance, let's take that as an example, over 40,000 reports and messages which were geocoded, geocomputed by the guys at USHAHIDE in the hours following the earthquake. And actually, the director of the UN Foundation has actually called this a game changer for humanitarian aid. If we look at a few of the examples that they've actually been able to use this with, we've had the earthquake in Chile, the earthquake in Christchurch in New Zealand. It's been useful in terms of helping out with voting in India, in Mexico, the severe storms in the US. I could go on and on. We've even got pharmaceutical stock putting in parts of East Africa. I mean, just so many uses.
And USHAHIDE did not do it all alone. It is a platform that allows you to collect and visualize information over a base map, but does not generate the map itself. And that's where OpenStreetMap came in. Their partnership was key in Haiti. Can you tell us more about that, Mark?
So OpenStreetMap, as we said, is a free geographical database, much like the Wikipedia of geographical data. So people can add their own information there. And it was key in trying to determine where the violence was, where there was water shortages. And it couldn't have worked. USHAHIDE couldn't have worked without OpenStreetMap. And there were a lot of different partnerships that they also used during the crisis. For instance, this functions on having people giving them information. And so making phone calls and sending SMSs to tell them where these problems are. And so what they did is they also partnered up with a communications firm to make sure that free calls and free SMSs to the people so that they could help out. Lots of different usages for the company.
All right, thanks for that, Mark. And we'll move on now because it's time for Test 24. At a 2013 International CES, we saw 3D televisions give way to some new exciting trends, namely 4K ultra-high definition and curved OLED screens. Our correspondent John Fenolio has the story on what was hot and what was not at the CES.
You might say 3D has trouble seducing most consumers. Despite continued efforts by manufacturers and a drastic drop in prices, sales haven't reached targeted goals. 3D TVs representing just 20% of the overall TV market.
3D TV was supposed to be a great success for the TV market, but in the end it seems it didn't meet the industry's expectations. A number of 3D TVs were sold, but statistics show that in reality people were buying premium models already equipped with 3D, but that they weren't looking for it.
And so, consumers remain skeptical. One of the main obstacles, those pesky glasses that a lot of people just don't want to wear. And as the search for a solution continues, one emerging trend, 3D TVs that don't require glasses at all.
I think the problem with 3D has been that the first entry with 3D with glasses came out, and there was all kinds of problems. In addition to the burden of the glasses, the quality of 3D with glasses over 2 years ago wasn't very good. It was rough, it was very expensive, and people used to have the problem with content.
It seems as though 3D TV is becoming passé. Sony and Samsung, two of the biggest TV manufacturers, have announced that they will focus less on pioneering new 3D technology.
3D was exciting 3 or 4 years ago when we came out with it. Now we've moved on to newer and exciting things like doubling the resolution or the new technology of OLED.
In an effort to maintain 3D viability, manufacturers are focusing on improving existing technology. This 3D TV, for example, is as thin as a piece of cardboard and it's almost completely transparent. A pretty unique feature that could, who knows, one day replace your home window.
All right, so Mark, do you think that this glasses-free viewing or transparent screens will help give 3D TV a second chance?
Well, something needs to give the 3D a boost. You know, I myself, when I put it on, it gives me a bit of a headache, especially I wear glasses when I watch TV. 2 sets of glasses. As we said, a lot of gimmicks. 3D TV, Guy said it, 3 years ago big. These days they need new technology to go through. It will all depend on price. If they can bring the price down and make it so that we can all enjoy it, then fair enough. And, you know, we're in a big recession, trying to come out of it. And as I say, the key is going to be getting enough people to buy it and bringing the price down.
All right, thanks for that, Mark, and thank you for watching this edition of Tech 24. Don't forget, you can give us your feedback on the show via Facebook or on Twitter. We leave it today with Samsung's flexible and unbreakable smartphone, another novelty unveiled at the 2013 CES. The screen uses organic light-emitting diodes, or OLEDs, which are already used in many smartphones. For the bendable and unbreakable phone, Samsung laid the chemicals over thin plastic instead of glass. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.